Good evening. Tonight's lecture is on team building. A virtual team is formed through a shared purpose rather than a common location. Such a team can be separated by geography, culture, and possibly language. As we have discussed, they often span the functional boundaries of the organization. In this setting, a virtual team must establish collaborative working relationships, which is difficult with a co-located team, but it encounters additional challenges with virtual teams. For the circumstances encountered by virtual teams, Wyke and Van Orden from our readings recommend an entrepreneurial approach to organizing activities. Like new innovations, virtual teams are cross-cutting, and so the leader of a virtual team must deal with resources distributed across boundaries, including geographic, cultural, and language. Furthermore, an entrepreneur must be alert to discover and disseminate distributed knowledge. An important leadership trait for virtual team managers is the ability to coordinate knowledge distributed across functional boundaries. Entrepreneurship is a good metaphor for virtual team leadership. Just as an entrepreneur builds a business, the team leadership must build the team. Global teams start as distributed, often global groups of transient individuals assigned to a virtual initiative and must be transformed into a team. In contrast to a group of individuals, a team focuses on accomplishing the team goals. Team building motivates team members to work for the goals of the team, its assigned mission. When a group lacks team focus, each member is committed only to the task presented to them and in pursuing their own interest. In contrast, a team is a group of individuals who have committed to accomplishing the goals of the group. The team members reinforce each other with their mutual dedication to achieving the team goals. The purpose of virtual team building is to transform a transient group of distributed individuals into a team. Team building is an important management skill that includes selecting team members with the necessary expertise, creating trust and team spirit, clearly defining goals, and creating open communications. Team building is an essential skill for managing a virtual team. The core leadership challenge in a virtual team is to create trust across different cultures or business units. This is a prerequisite for bonding together the complementary skills of the virtual team members. In addition, assigning staff to tasks based on their expertise is more challenging with virtual teams because the manager does not have significant face time with most team members. Instead, a manager must have skill in selecting appropriate individuals based on descriptions in the skills inventory of the HR system or the talent management system. Other important leadership skills are the ability to facilitate group decisions, ability to obtain accountability, and ability to communicate clearly. In a virtual environment, even slight misunderstandings can cause significant delays, so clear communications are essential. Furthermore, accountability must be made on two levels. Individual commitments and collective commitments. Consensus may be induced without a formal hierarchical authority, but it is more challenging. The organization's executives perform a critical role in the formation of teams. They must define a strategic mission. They must allocate responsibilities and resources to divisions and teams to accomplish that mission. Also, senior level managers perform a critical role in the formation of teams. They are responsible for selecting an appropriate leader for the team, and they provide links to a support network for the team. The team leader must select the right people for the team based on its mission and situational context. The team must define protocols and processes that optimize its effectiveness. There are 4 factors that determine the degree of intellectual energy to accomplish the team's mission. The first is a cooperative mindset. The second is boundary spanning. The third is an igniting purpose. And the fourth is productive capacity. Several practices will lead to a cooperative mindset in an organization. First, top management should be a role model and cooperate amongst themselves. In addition, the organization should require cooperative traits in the people they hire. Once hired, new employees should be socialized into the cooperative culture of the organization as quickly as possible. Finally, a reward system should reinforce cooperative behavior. The creative energy of the team will apply to accomplishing their mission, which, as we have discussed, is typically a strategic action for the larger organization. Typically, 4 viewpoints are used in executing strategic actions: learning and growth, processes, customer, and financial. These have been commonly called the balanced scorecard. And these viewpoints, to some extent, will require input from the team. Learning and growth is an especially important viewpoint because learning enables capability in processes to accomplish the mission. Learning also closes the skill gap so strategic processes can be performed. Learning is also important because it aligns the work of different individuals so they function as a unit. Without alignment, team members work at cross purposes and much of their energy is wasted. Finally, learning is a socialization process to disseminate the common values of the organization. The economic value remaining for an organization resides in its future. Strategy is how you move into the future. White defines strategy as a deliberate action to transform sensed opportunities into desired results. In an iterative manner, strategic activity scans the environment for information, obtains understanding from that information, formulates actions to benefit the organization, and implements those strategic actions through an exchange of interactions with the environment. There are 2 main aspects of effective organizational preparation for strategy execution. The first is creativity for innovation, and the second is administration to convert that creativity into competitive activities. In general, encouraging creative energy on the team will support innovation. Similarly, the balanced scorecard framework provides the strategist with support for administration. Global virtual team management has a fundamental role in strategic frameworks. It leverages distributed knowledge to accomplish organizational goals. The balanced scorecard organizes activities to accomplish strategic goals. The balanced scorecard is a comprehensive system for delegating authority and resources to accomplish goals. It prepares business cases for resource allocation. It considers 4 perspectives to align the activities of all units in the organizational structure, as we discussed: financial, process, customer, and learning. Balanced scorecards are used to implement strategy. They orient teams working on strategic actions, and they align key management processes and systems to the strategy. It factors into the strategic action, which is the fundamental elements of change. The financial objectives are productivity improvement and revenue growth. The customer perspective identifies the customer and an organization's value proposition to that customer. There are 4 categories of process that must be aligned with strategy. Process, of course, is the third of the 4 perspectives on the balanced scorecard. And the first process is the process to manage operations. The second is the process to work with customers. The third process is how to innovate. And the fourth process is to ensure regulatory or policy compliance. So organizations must define these various processes in order to successfully implement strategy. And then learning enables all the other viewpoint objectives. Zeng, in his classic work, The Fifth Discipline, asserts that successful global businesses are becoming learning communities, and that to truly excel, an organization must harness the learning ability of its staff at all levels. A learning community is an informal, cooperative relationship to share knowledge. Information technology can help at both a personal and an organizational level. In an organizational context, information technology applied to human resources is a factor establishing effective learning communities. Talent management systems are information technology applications that companies use to record the need for certain knowledge, to hire individuals with that knowledge, and to notify the company's divisions and virtual teams about those individuals. Different communities of interest can then span boundaries to connect with individuals having knowledge of value to the team, and that'll help foster innovative thinking. More generally, as we have discussed in the past 3 lectures, information technology supports learning communities by increasing the flow of information across boundaries and by providing a shared digital space for exchange of knowledge that is independent of geography. In addition, information technology enhances collaboration in learning communities, enhances the ability to organize and search knowledge collections, and enhances the ability to present information, such as we have used Blackboard Collaborate to do. And you may have used Skype in your project group, in your group projects. Some of the information technologies that support learning communities are phone bridging, video teleconferencing, web conferencing, blogs, wikis, email, listservs, bulletin boards, web page publishing, calendaring, discussion forums, chat, document change tracking, and peer-to-peer collaborative technologies such as Groove. Any strategy will require learning, and so without a learning organization, you can become mired in the past. A learning organization will organize a learning approach for teams to become competent with the tenets of the new state created by the strategy. Likewise, teams must embrace and extend the learning from higher levels with learning they identify for accomplishing their specific mission. Learning enables effectiveness in processes to fulfill the mission. It closes the skills gap so that new strategic processes can be performed. Learning is also important because it aligns the work of different individuals so they function as a unit. Without alignment, team members work at cross purposes and much of their energy can be wasted. Finally, learning is a socialization process to disseminate the common values to the organization or a team. An organization will plan a series of activities to accomplish the goals emerging from its strategic framework. The role of teams in the strategic framework is to organize and execute these activities to add value to the organization. Through a communicating and linking process, an organization's strategies and goals are disseminated to all levels, including divisions, teams, and individuals. Teams will prepare business cases in terms of those strategies and goals. A business case can be prepared using a variety of methods. A popular one is the format recommended by Solomon and is organized into sections about the people behind the planned action, a description of the opportunity, the context or of the environment, and the risks and rewards of implementing the plan. A series of tools can be used to analyze the business drivers that affect the success of pursuing an opportunity. And they would include things like slope analysis, product curve analysis of the market drivers. This is a popular one in the strategic management press these days. For example, Blue Ocean Strategies by Kim and Mauborn. SWOT, which is strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat analysis. Web analysis of the competition, knowledge value per employee, and pro forma financial statements based on reasonable assumptions. There is a shift in management decision-making to more robust methods because of the rising complexity, accelerating change, and uncertainty. Sense-making is a more robust decision-making process. First, an awareness of the situation is obtained, and then decisions are made. One of the initial cues in sense-making is that something in the world has changed that impacts your organization. Sense-making then becomes a continuous cycle of learning, analyzing, formulating actions, and interpreting the results of those actions. It's part of the organizing behavior we discussed earlier in this semester that has three main parts: retain knowledge, selection, and enactment. So an essential step in strategic planning is a comprehensive reconnaissance of the environment. Strategic priorities would guide the selection of some information from this reconnaissance for further enactment. Several technologies foster agility in an organization to enable the development and execution of a strategy. Customer relationship management and enterprise feedback management systems are technologies that enhance an organization's ability to scan the environment to develop situational awareness. Organizations use tools such as customer relationship management to quickly sense the situation and adapt rapidly. In addition, organizations need to know what customers and what non-customers are thinking. To accomplish this, they are turning to enterprise feedback management. EFM helps organize the data from external reconnaissance and integrate it with enterprise data so that the information returned can be used throughout the organization. This information provides context and situational awareness for the team as well. Besides training its staff, an organization is an open system that must continually learn about its environment and adapt its mission, strategies, and operations accordingly. To survive, an organization must conduct a comprehensive reconnaissance of the market and select some information from this reconnaissance for further enactment. The resulting knowledge must be organized and stored for search and retrieval throughout the organization. Customer relationship management and enterprise feedback management systems are technologies that enhance an organization's ability to scan the environment to develop situational awareness. These information technologies, including EFM and CRM, have been applied to manage understanding the external environment. They improve organizational learning by collecting knowledge into enterprise data repositories, such as the customer database and enterprise feedback management collections. These data repositories are an institutional memory of the organization and a critical part of its learning. Populating these repositories with market segment information will help the transformation to a learning organization in a couple of ways. First, by capturing customer information for analysis, by becoming a source of insights about competitors, by uncovering environmental or market changes, and by learning about how our products perform in the environment. To leverage this information from the external environment, the abilities of appropriate individuals throughout the organization must be coordinated. Knowledge management ensures that tacit knowledge throughout the organization is harnessed for others to use. Knowledge management is an unstructured delivery of appropriate information to a community. It supplements the more structured training approaches to learning. A third technology, a human resources talent system, will help an organization identify critical skill sets across the organization so they can be added to a team. A talent system is a must for identifying appropriate staff at all levels. To encourage innovative teamwork, the workplace should foster hotspots. One of Napoleon's famous dictums is, "Small plans do not inflame the hearts of men." Hotspots are teams of collaborators who are inflamed by an expansive vision. Teams become hotspots with an inspiring vision. Knowledge management ensures that the tacit knowledge of all people in the organization is harnessed for others to use. A talent management system will supplement knowledge management by helping identify critical skill sets across an organization so that they can add value to a learning team. This supports learning-enabled hotspots in an organization by providing a weak link to talent that might otherwise remain unknown to the team. Knowledge management is a key facet of team learning that is based on information technologies. The third element of team learning is thinking insightfully. As with individuals, teams learn by doing. However, just as with individuals, learning by doing works best with simple systems. Simple systems provide immediate feedback during the learning session to reinforce or discourage an action. With complex systems, in contrast, feedback for an action may be gradual instead of immediate. However, in an e-learning environment, you can create micro-worlds to compress the space and time in complex systems so that teams can understand the impact of certain actions during the learning session. Sang calls these micro-worlds, and they are computer-based simulations and games that are now widespread in e-learning environments. Boundary spanning is another important function for forming innovative teams. Innovative hotspots have members from different groups who do not necessarily have strong relationships with one another. Such weak ties are often more effective for sharing information than strong associations. Connecting to distributed knowledge is another critical success factor for team learning. A team must span boundaries to connect with individuals having knowledge of value. Boundary spanning is another requirement for team learning that is supported on the intranets that use the same network and microcomputer technology used in e-commerce. Strong work associations can typically be with people who share your same knowledge domain. Boundary spanning through weak ties is a method for broadening your knowledge and the knowledge your team will marshal to solve the problems it's assigned. Certain traits are essential for a team leader to make things happen and at the same time to make sense of what is happening. Foremost among these traits is CUDER, the ability to understand the situation based on incomplete or unfolding information. Another important leadership trait is empathy to other viewpoints so that different understandings of the situation can be incorporated into the decision making. In addition, the team leader must be trustworthy so that others will incur risk to accomplish the team tasks. Another essential trait for a good team leader is the ability to sense people's strengths and weaknesses, because team staffing is a key success factor. The team leader must be able to assess staff knowledge when assigning them to work tasks. In addition, the team leader must understand a person's motivation and determination to turn out excellent results. The team leader must be flexible enough to delegate authority to do work, yet retain responsibility for its completion. The principle of bounded rationality illuminates the need for delegation. Bounded rationality means that all of us have perceptual and information processing limits. We may always intend to act fully rational, but usually we act on easy-to-get knowledge, use undemanding rules to search for a conclusion, and take shortcuts whenever possible. On a well-distributed team, hopefully not everybody will take the same shortcut, and therefore a more thorough analysis will be accomplished. In addition, the team leader should be a learner who is willing to learn from situations rather than be defensive. They should have an orientation towards people rather than towards things, so they are able to motivate, able to give constructive feedback, recognition, and criticism, and able to teach and coach teammates to be at their best. The team leader should have experience and credibility in the mission domain assigned to the team. Additionally, they should be an exceptional observer and communicator. Project management experience is also a good indicator of a good team leader trait. Surviving multiple projects may be a good indicator of other desirable traits such as flexibility, innovation, and the ability to organize. Okay, the organization must conduct a comprehensive selection process for the team lead, including the use of a talent management system if one's available. Interviews for the team leader position should be structured so candidates are in the role, they do a role play during the interview of being a virtual team lead. Structured interviews have open-ended questions with follow-up probes that may go into more detail. A virtual team scenario should be presented to the candidate, and then you would ask how they would coach team members for the mission. Then you would assign the candidate work samples and evaluate their ability to communicate the work, organize an effort, and provide a response. And then you would finally have your strongest candidates meet with executive leadership about the work. So you really want to look for a person who has a history of giving individual consideration. This includes coaching, teaching, and advising team members as they need it. Also, a history of getting staff to use reasoning and evidence rather than opinion, because this type of intellectual stimulation is needed on virtual teams. Being persistent and dependable go without saying. Flexibility goes along with any job today because of the rapidly changing world, but especially with global virtual teams, because they are the tip of the spear in organizations trying to make sense and successfully respond to such a world. Flexibility is maintaining effectiveness and stability on a team in the face of material changes. Judgment, too, is another important trait, and that's the ability to make sound and objective evaluations of alternative courses of action. And integrity, which is adherence to a code of conduct. You need to position the team leader for success. The executive staff should meet with the selected team leader to provide the big picture that the his or her team will support. They should assign a sponsor to act as ambassador for the team and liaison with the executive management group. The organization should leverage senior executives as educators on the expected outcomes from the team's actions. And the team leader and senior management should jointly work out the details of the team leader's role. The team leader will plan and prepare business cases for key initiatives assigned to the team. The team leader has a decisive role in defining resource needs and their allocation. These business cases support the planning that is a critical function in preparing balanced scorecards. In addition, the performance benchmarks defined through the balanced scorecards can be used to evaluate the expected value from each team initiative and prioritize them accordingly. When preparing the business case, the team leader must also identify adversarial stakeholders. Conflict is a common consequence for any proposal to change, and that includes the implementation of a new strategy. One reason that change is resisted is the damage done in an organization by rent-seeking over time. Rent-seeking is the concentration of benefit and the distribution of risk. At a national level, the Wall Street bailouts are an example, Benefits are concentrated to a few powerful banks, but the risks are socialized through taxpayer bailouts. At an organizational level, rent-seeking behavior produces cults of privilege backwardness that may resist change. Knowing the team mission, the key initiatives, and their priority, the team leader can start selecting the right people for the team. An important governing principle for selecting team members is the law of requisite variety. This law states that the variety of knowledge in an organization or a team must be at least as great as the environmental variety that it is attempting to influence. Ashby gives an example in photography. A photographer has 5 subjects, each at a different distance from the camera. The photographer's camera must have 5 distinct settings to capture all subjects with uniform density and clarity. If the camera has fewer than 5 settings, it lacks the requisite variety and will not register with sufficient detail to depict all scenes accurately. In addition to the domains of knowledge a team member adds, there is a set of best practices for selecting virtual team members. So you're selecting them because they have knowledge of certain domains that are relevant to your mission, but you're also selecting individuals because they have good communication skills. They should have empathy for understanding other points of view to prevent escalation of anger and bitterness from the frustrations of communication and coordination over distance and across time zones. They should have familiarity with or ability to learn virtual management tools such as teleconferencing, video conferencing, web conferencing, discussion forums, document repositories, and the like. Since the team leader cannot closely supervise the members, they must have self-management ability. We're also looking for an ability to respond to difficult situations. Questions you might ask in the selection process for team members, have them discuss a situation where they had to think quickly to avoid bad consequences that seemed unavoidable. Ask them to discuss a situation when communications broke down and how they resolved or helped resolve the issue, and ask them what the outcome was. And then finally, ask them to walk you through a typical workday. So establishing the virtual team requires a clear purpose in the vision statement or charter. Team leader must define the necessary skills, specific knowledge domains, more general talents, problem solving, and interpersonal skills, ability to lead. That's because leadership is shared on virtual teams. Team members must offer guidance and leadership based on their expertise. Team members must be self-disciplined and highly motivated. And they must be able to learn new and usually simple technology. So you identify a pool of people with those skills and talents. Then you choose the team, invite people, ask for volunteers, and ask also for nominees from people you know. Let's take a 5-minute break and continue when we get back.